All right, everybody. Welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say
Hey,
hello, Mr. Samurai.
I swear I wasn't speeding, officer.
Uh,
Yeah,
well,
I like the lenses. You get to respect my authority.
folks, it is Tuesday, June the 27th, our first full day of summer show. Because last week we did it on
The
solstice. Solstice. Now I gotta admit, well, why do we have our shades on? And I mean, if we
because not Shades On is not on the show.
we don't
They're
have
from Rhode
shades
Island.
on. Shades on Brewing. We now have
Or Shades Brewing, which is
Right.
actually right around the corner from. Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Right.
We'll get to that. No, it's National Sunglasses Day.
It's National Sunglasses Day. Happy National Sunglasses Day, everybody.
Yeah.
And the reason now I got to tell you though, the reason I have these shades on, if you will, I have prescription sunglasses. I keep them in my car because 99% of the time I wear them.
Yeah.
While I'm driving in the car. But these I just happened to grab downstairs. I got these at those of you familiar with New Jersey, or at least if you unfortunately watched the Jersey Shore show.
None of those people from Jersey.
None of them are from Jersey, by the way. They went to DJs often. I live about 6 blocks from DJs. All right, so down there was a WFAN, the sports station, does their Memorial Day kickoff weekend, and it's sponsored by somebody who gave out these sunglasses. Can you tell?
No, because I'm wearing sunglasses, not wearing my reading glasses.
And actually, these are really cool. I really like these sunglasses, but they say Wendy's right here.
Well, I do have another pair of sunglasses that was from Providence, Rhode Island.
So I'm taking them off so I can actually start seeing what I'm doing here.
At any rate.
Anyway.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. There you go. Bright light.
Oh, don't feed me after midnight.
Exactly. Or get you wet.
Oh, dark.
No, after midnight.
Yeah, it was midnight. It was midnight.
You're right.
It
was midnight.
Yeah.
It was Mogwai. Anyway, what else is it?
See, last week we did
ice cream
joints, and we mentioned Carvel and those ice cream cakes, and it's National Ice Cream Cake Day today.
Mm-hmm. So happy!
I wish I had a Fudgy the Whale.
Cookie Puss, Fudgy the Whale, any of them will be good. Cookie Opus would be fine.
Opus. It's a little out of season for Cookie Opus.
Exactly. And just to round it out, it's also National Pineapple Day. So
pineapple ice cream cake.
Pineapple ice cream cake with sunglasses drawn on it. That would solve all 3 days today. So
yes, it would. They would do that.
All right. So you're not eating anything?
No, I haven't. You've noticed I haven't done that in a while. I've got to get. I don't know if I should get back to that habit or not. But I ate just before the show.
Well, there you go. And I'll be eating just after the show, like as per normal.
Like usual.
Exactly. So, anyway, so let's get to it because I need a beer, and I'm chopping a bit to get our guest on. So
we do have to announce one thing.
Remember. Oh, that's right. Before we do it, let's get it. Top of the show, we got to do this.
Yes, in the How Many Beers Will Samurai Drink Whilst in Ireland contest, we are giving the next bit of, I guess,
next
clue. Information that you need to know in order to make an educated guess.
Or information that you don't need to know if you're just going to wing it.
Yeah, there's that too.
Either way.
But here's the one thing you need to understand. Ireland, they drive on the left side of the road. Mm-hmm. And they sit on the right side of the car. So just like here, you're sitting in the middle of the road, but you're still on the wrong side of the car, the wrong side of the road from our perspective, correct from theirs. But also, it's really expensive to rent a automatic. Mm-hmm. So I've got a manual. So the stick shift is on my left side, and the gears are backwards.
Interesting. But the pedals are the correct way.
Pedals are at least the correct way.
Do you imagine if you had to step on the clutch with your right foot and step on the gas with your left foot? I would walk if I were you. If that were
I'd be probably driving us right off the cliffs of Mower. Mm-hmm. Which we will go see. But yes, so that is the next bit of information and that you need to make your educated guess, is that driving is going to be difficult. So I always limit my intake when driving.
No more than 16 or 17 beers while he's driving in any one location.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, it's in any one place.
Steve said this is a joke, folks. He doesn't do that.
No. So more than likely be limiting whilst driving.
There you go.
I mean, there will be a few places where we will be walking, but we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that in another show. exactly.
Okay, so there's your info that you need.
All right. So let's without further ado bring on our guest.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's do that. Please,
John.
Please welcome to the show Jae Vanderwerf. Did I pronounce it correctly? Jae,
Yeah,
from SaltFire Brewing.
you did.
All right.
I even have my sunglasses. So.
Oh, look at
There you
that.
go.
Let's put them
we
on.
have another.
Let's put them on.
These mirrored shades. I don't have mirror shades. I feel left
Put
out.
them on. Just put them on, and we could take a screenshot so we can post it.
There
we go.
Done. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
All righty.
So, how are you, Jay?
Doing well. Just
Awesome.
hanging out, enjoying the sun.
You gotta love it.
Sun.
What's the temperature out in Utah right now?
High 80s, I believe. It's like 88 or something.
All right. Yeah, it was about that down here today too. Yeah.
Yeah, we just this weekend had our first day over 90, which is shocker. Usually it's quite a bit hotter by this point, so it's been really pleasant.
That's very good.
Yeah.
You look at it that way. We got a comment already.
Yeah. Okay. We'll fix that. We'll fix this.
Okay.
Don't see you drinking.
Yeah. Paolo says, I don't see you drinking, so we're going to fix that. So, Dave, what are you drinking right now?
First of all, hey, Paolo.
Hey, Paolo. Good seeing you, Paolo. Paolo's been on the show.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Paolo is from Pordenone.
In Italy.
Oh, what a great guy. Loved hanging out with him. I'm drinking a Ghost Hawk. This is Paparazzi, which is an ingenious name for an Italian Pilsner. So, and like everything else.
If you came up with any Italian name that's not really
Italian.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
we miss you too, Paolo.
Is that it? I'll put the comment up there too.
There we go.
Yes, miss you too, Paolo.
Gotta get back out there.
Absolutely gotta go, yeah. All right. So tell you about it. You drinking Paparazzi, go ahead.
It's just a nice classic Italian Pilsner. It's like, Steve just does great stuff. Jay, what are you drinking there?
Right now I have it's a pale ale that we make. It was something I had still from draft, and so just something light, refreshing.
Very nice.
I have to go back and see what I had while I was there. Carrie may have had the pale ale while she was there. Nice. I think.
I'm about to drink something that we've rarely had on the show.
Really?
Well, first of all, I'm going to show you. It's called Asteroid, not Asteroid. It's Asteroid.
Okay.
Asteroid. It's from Dancing Gnome Brewing in Pittsburgh.
Ah.
All right. I'm going to throw it up right now so you can read what it is.
We get West Coast IPAs
very rare. Every now and then, very rarely.
Yeah.
So look at that. An IPA that you can actually see through. Look at that.
I know. It's so nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I do like this beer.
That's really tasty.
Steve goes to stuff.
You taste, you have one of these and you say to yourself, you know what? That's what that's an IPA. I need that. I need more of that. You need more of that. You're like,
yes.
There's nothing wrong with New England IPAs. I love them. We brew them, but it's this is a really good beer. Cheers to the folks at Dancing Gnome. Wish I could be drinking some SaltFire right now. Really do, but
I mean, I wish I could be having some hazies. They're actually fresh from New England. So
there you go. Fair enough.
Oh,
all right.
That's a good one. Actually, one of the best West Coast IPAs I had was in New England. Smug makes a great one.
Smug does make a great one.
Okay.
It's so underrated because, well, they're in New England and no one drinks West Coast up there.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like it's a cardinal sin to drink a West Coast IPA in New England, right? But now, anyway, 15 years ago, not so much. But anyway, all right, let's kick this off. Jay, we'll ask you the first question we always ask everybody. All right, to the best of your recollection, what was the first craft beer you ever had?
First one I ever had was probably Bridgeport IPA out of Portland, Oregon. So I grew up out in Portland, and my friend introduced me to beer and everything in college, and that was his favorite beer. And so that was the first one I probably had. First one that stood out was while I was still in Portland, having a beer from Utah. That was just a little bit different take on like a West Coast. which is kind of, fun that years later I'm actually out here brewing now. So
yeah, and brewing in Utah, that's great. Yeah, I love
it
it.
was one of the first ones I remembered being like, this is really fun and unique and like actually stands apart.
That's
So.
awesome. That's awesome. That's great. That's great. Now, you got to have some great brewery stories about. I mean, if you're in Portland, right? Before you obviously moved to Utah, any under just throwing this out there, any under the radar breweries that were just, oh my God, this is great. Wow, that nobody like in the East Coast would know about. Obviously, best kept secrets, right?
Pretty much.
Best kept secrets.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so many of them are turning over, and especially with COVID, a lot of new ones came up after, and a lot of older ones actually fell down. And Bridgeport is one of them. Was around for almost, I think, 20 years and went out of business during COVID. So it's changed a lot since I was there. That said, absolute favorite brewery out there, and probably always will be, is Freem, which is out in Hood River.
Freem is great.
Freem is great, and they're wonderful people, especially from like a home brewing standpoint. Years ago, right after I left there, I went out to Minnesota for a couple years and was trying to replicate one of their recipes for homebrew. They ended up shipping me a case of 22-ounce bombers out to Minnesota and the recipe, just being like, thanks for inquiring.
Oh, wow.
And so
that's really cool.
That's really cool. Love that. Love hearing
cool
stuff
people.
like that.
Love their beers are absolutely amazing if you can make it out to Hood River. Can't speak highly enough about that.
I haven't been out there, unfortunately, but I've had several things from Freem. So yeah, they make amazing stuff. Where in Minnesota were you?
Minneapolis.
You were in Minneapolis?
Yep.
Gotcha. What years?
That's the thing I love about the industry, though, is the industry supports the industry. Even if John, what's your favorite word?
It's co-opetition. It's not competition. It's co-opetition,
right? And you see that everywhere. And I don't think, John and I do travel around a lot, I don't think we've been anywhere where we've seen that not be the culture in the craft beer world.
Yeah, you don't get far if you're an asshole, honestly. I mean,
you really don't.
It's as simple as that. Of just, we're all in this industry for the most part. Most people are really passionate about who are in it, either having come from other walks of life or other careers and coming into brewing. That everyone's there because it's a passion of theirs. You're making alcohol, which is fun. And it's just kind of a fun, good environment in general. So, especially here in Utah, it's too small to cause waves.
Right.
So
this is true.
It's good beer, but it's still growing, and so everyone helps each other out, which is great.
That's awesome. That's absolutely true. 100% of that. What years were you in Minneapolis?
I was there from probably 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
And I moved out to Utah right before 2020.
Right before. So you got out there just in time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
we know those stories.
Oh yeah. Gee, I know somebody else that did something similar.
Yeah, I moved to Rhode Island in February of 2020.
Yeah, we bought our house in December of 2019, and so
there you go.
We got very lucky with that one.
This is true. This is very true. We're just out of curiosity. I've been out to Minneapolis a few times. I love the scene out there. I love a lot of the liquid out there. What were some of your favorite breweries out there?
For Wild Ales, Wild Minds I really liked.
Wild Minds great. Yeah.
Wild Minds is great. Or Wild Minds. I really like Ven Brewing, which was right out in now I'm forgetting, along Hennepin. And probably one of my favorite ones was Back Channel. It's a little ways out.
Okay.
But Back Channel makes some really good New Englands. They also just kind of kill it across the board with their beers and also promoting their beers. They have some really fun things that they do for like new IPA releases. And
sure.
They have like ice hockey during the wintertime because they can make ice hockey tables and stuff. Ice hockey tables because it doesn't melt. And so they're a fun place.
That's great. Yeah. No, there's a lot of good liquid out there. I mean, obviously, I mean, I'm going to talk about, Surly or anything like that, but like Dangerous Man.
Dangerous Man is super good. Yeah.
They made a I don't know if you heard of this hop. Hopsteiner has actually have love the hop so much. I actually borrowed begged him for the 10-tactor.
Nice.
Grungeist. I don't know if you ever heard of the hop. It's it's not Hopsteiner. It's Hop Head Farms have it.
Oh, okay, got it.
And Dangerous Man used it, and they made a grisette, and they used that hop in it. It was one of the best beers that I've had in a long time. Just it was like a single hop. They used that. It made a grisette with that. It was amazing. So.
It's funny. I'm looking at Back Channel's menu right now. You can tell they're into hockey because they called their Czech pills Yager.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just part of the Minnesota culture. I know when they started, they were trying to name all of their beers from like famous people from Minnesota and like kind of have some kind of tie back to that. So a lot of hockey players and a lot of things like that.
Sure.
So
sure. It's awesome. That is awesome. All right. So what got you into homebrewing? What
homebrewing?
What made you start? What took you from taking a sip of that Bridgeport IPA to saying I got to brew this stuff?
Actually, I tried making wine before making beer, and that was a fun but hard lesson to learn. Especially looking back now, the amount of stuff I could have been doing better would have helped a lot. And so
on the wine side of things, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With just basic things that you even use in homebrewing, like sanitation, and just being really adamant about that. That I had started with wine because I had a summer internship with a local vineyard in Oregon, just kind of helping out with their grapevines and then gain some free grapes from them. And so once that went south, I was like, let's try beer. And that was fun and exciting. And I was kind of getting into the craft brew scene anyways. And it really just became trying to recreate beers I really liked. Of like, okay, I want to be able to brew this myself. And so that really happened pretty much right at the end of college. My first homebrew batch I actually fermented in my college dorm. So
what was it?
It was Alaska's amber ale clone.
Not a bad beer to try to clone at all.
Not at all.
Nope. So pretty much from there on out, it was just kind of constantly brewing, and things really picked up when I moved out to Minnesota. Started going to some homebrew clubs and just trying to make things better and better each time.
Gotcha.
Hey, John, I hear Minnesota's got good brats.
Minnesota has great brats.
Yes.
Great brats. Actually.
Yeah, great comfort food.
Absolutely.
Got cheese curds and poutine.
You gotta love it.
Well, I was just in Montreal a couple weeks ago, and the poutine.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the best brats that I had in Minnesota were actually at Target Field at a Twins game. So.
Oh, interesting.
So, go figure, right? But what was I going to say? Did you work at any breweries or work with any breweries when you're in Minnesota?
Nope, not that time. Working actually in the industry is pretty new to me at this point. I was working as a controls engineer for a long time.
Okay.
And made the switch about a year ago, actually.
Okay.
But what happened was when I was getting really into stuff in Minnesota, I actually took a BJCP prep course by a wonderful lady out there named Jira. And she had a class plan that just made sense. And so it was one of those things where I took this prep course, went really full on into doing a lot of judgings and stuff, moved out to Utah, and then started teaching that same kind of prep course out here.
That's cool.
And just kind of really got invested in homebrewing scene out here, teaching also brewers and other people as well about beer judging and kind of those kind of lessons.
Have you done a lot of judging, a lot of
A lot of
Good
judging.
festivals.
Trying to get more judges. Always, I'm trying to always have more people get their certification and go through the steps. And yeah,
That's awesome.
What do you find is the hardest part about judging at a festival?
The other judges sometimes.
That is perfect. That's all I got to put that down. That's an open. Right
Yeah.
there.
Unfortunately, I think the hardest part with judging, and it's hard to kind of check yourself, is that bias. Growing up in Portland, I have an idea of what West Coast IPA is for me. I love my West Coast IPAs.
I wish you could taste this. This is
fantastic. Yeah.
But the point there is you just said it, for me, what it is for me.
For me.
Yeah.
And that's where kind of knocking out that bias of when you're judging, to be like, even if this isn't my favorite West Coast I've had, it's still hitting the things that you need to have for the style. It's still, hitting all the marks it should have. It's similar to trying any beer style that I might not be a big fan of. You kind of learn to separate your own personal interests with what you're actually tasting. Not all judges do that, and some people get very opinionated about what they think is a better beer because of whatever reason they kind of come up with.
Right.
So
yeah,
people are only human.
Yeah, people are.
Exactly.
I've seen that, a number of times. So, not necessarily to the detriment of anything in particular, but like Dave said, people are people. So
yep.
So
if we're drinking IPAs, I'm switching to an IPA if we're going to talk about them.
There you go. Well, it's funny because I'm just about done with my IPA, and
I'm just starting mine,
and I'll be switching to it's a Dunkel. Let's put it that way. I'll be switching to it.
It's a bit of a
little bit of a
changing gears right there.
Little changing gears. I went all over the place. My third beer is even, well, I would say it's closer to the Dunkel, but it's still different than the Dunkel.
Why'd you bother asking me what styles I was drinking today? If you're just gonna go all over the place.
Because you said you were going to be all over the place, so I went all over the place.
I gave you a Pilsner and 2 IPAs. How's that all over the place?
Did. Well, you said it. That's not necessarily what you did. You said it. So,
but no, since we're on the subject of IPAs, we have, and what an IPA is to you. For the longest time, Jersey did not produce a good IPA. There was just no good IPAs in this state until this one came along.
There were, now make no mistake. I just want to throw one thing out there. So, because this is obviously, both of us are in the state. There were bad. It wasn't like they were all drain pours, but
not all
as far as really,
there was no world class.
Well, there was no world class IPAs until.
And I remember the first time I went into the Cloverleaf Tavern. Ryan brought me one, the owner, and said, "Well, he's standing there looking at me while I'm drinking it." Mm-hmm. Which is always disconcerting. I'm like, "What is he expecting here?" I took one smell of it. Went, "This was not brewed in New Jersey. There's no way. You poured me the wrong beer, Ryan." I took one sip of it, like, "Wow, the game just changed here. Everything." And this is one of the beers that changed the craft beer world in New Jersey.
Okay.
That's interesting. I typically, especially if I'm traveling or telling other people, when they're like, "Oh, what should I look for?" I'm like, drink the local stuff.
Yep.
You go to the West Coast, drink your IPAs and drink your heart out. If you go to the New England area, drink your New England IPAs. If you're out in like Minnesota and stuff, drink your wild ales or your things that are kind of coming down from that Scandinavian heritage. Mm-hmm. That's what they do really well. Everywhere has their little thing that they excel at.
You're right.
We didn't really excel at anything for a while, except for distribution of other people's beer into the state.
Up until 2012, and we're talking 11 years ago. Not even quite 11 years ago. So it's like, 10 and a half years ago at this point, there were 9 breweries in New Jersey, 9 craft breweries in New Jersey.
Yeah.
They passed, and because the bottom line was, and people that watch this show before that are not from New Jersey, anybody from New Jersey knows this already, but they've heard us say this, but just for your own knowledge, you could show up at a brewery. The only thing, you had to take a tour first. Before you could do anything, you had to take a tour. then you could have 4 4-ounce samples that you didn't pay for. The brewery had to just give them to you. All right. And then when you were done with the fourth one, you could buy up to 2 6-packs of beer and then get out. You can't even hang out. You can't talk to anybody. Just get out. So that was it up until September of 2012. The governor at the time passed a law that breweries could have tasting rooms. All right. So that everything passed. So that obviously enabled another business model, obviously, because now you can sell. Now you can have retail, right? You can have pints. People can buy kegs to go out the door. So now there's upwards of 150 breweries in the state 11 years later. So
now, speaking of tap room, SaltFire's got a beautiful tap room.
Really beautiful. The owner, I believe it was his father, does some woodworking, and so you get a lot of woodworking in the entire bar and like tap room. A lot of it's from his father, who put in time just helping, like cut costs and things, and it's super cool area.
Gotcha.
Very comfortable. Oh, awesome logo.
That's
oh yeah, the anglerfish is amazing.
John, have you seen the logo?
Yeah, it was on the cover when we started.
We'll try showing it
right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, the little anglerfish.
And rather than the little glow light, it's a hop.
Yep.
It's a hop, of course.
That's really, really cool. I was really admire that. That was we had a great time. Very comfortable. Very comfortable there as well.
When you say the owner, by the way, you're talking about Ryan?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to,
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys met Ryan or not. Or
no, we didn't meet Ryan. We met a beer tender. I can't remember his name now. Was it Chris?
It's probably Alec. It's my guess. He has yep.
Because we're talking about being on the show. He goes, no, you want Jay on the show. You don't want me on the show. It's not boring.
Well, that's very nice of Alec.
He tapped out.
You guys are stuck with me now for.
I think we sapped Alec for all information that he currently possessed at the time anyway.
Yeah.
He was a lot of fun to talk to.
That's great. All right. So, okay, you're teaching BJCP judging. You're doing BJCP judging. You're home brewing from Portland to Minneapolis to Salt Lake City. You decide you want to do this for a career. What transpired there? How did that?
What was your first brewery job in Salt Lake?
First brewery job really was just kind of what I'm doing now. Wow. I landed when I was starting to look. I had something come up with my work where I was like, this is a great time for me to step aside, go into brewing for my career. And SaltFire was just going through a complete change in their back of house, where their head brewer and their assistant brewer were both kind of leaving to go on to other places. And so it just worked out for me to step in. Ryan wasn't brewing at the time, but he also stepped in. Together, we've just kind of been helping each other out and figuring out the stuff in the back of house and going from there. So it really was kind of a stepping straight into the fire. I mean,
I gotcha.
Yeah,
that's really awesome. I like that. I love the fact that you're as experienced as you are, as far as obviously with your home brewing and everything else, and you're judging, and the fact that you're teaching judging and everything else, and you've been in the industry for years. That we're actually speaking to you as you're still in your first brewing job. That's awesome.
That's
awesome. That's pretty neat.
I mean, at this point, I don't have too many plans to move elsewhere. I mean,
there you go.
I really enjoy where I'm at.
I'm sure Ryan likes that too, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. No, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm definitely in a place where I can, have some creative freedom, which is nice, and especially coming from like a home brewing background. But I had a lot of that knowledge going in, where it's not just like I don't know what I'm doing. The biggest things I'm learning are how to do it from a 5-gallon setup to a 10-barrel setup.
Right.
Gotcha. Is that so it's a 10-barrel brew house you're using? You guys out there? Yeah. Do you double batch? You get 20s and so forth?
There's a couple that we'll do 20s for. So the 10-ton truck, which is our West Coast, will do 20s, and a lot of our lighter beers that we'll distribute, like our blonde and our Kolsch will do 20s.
Nice. Always good to do a 20 barrel of a Kolsch, because if I was out there, I'd probably drink. Well, Dave and I together would probably drink 10 barrels of it. So
Yeah.
So I got to tell you though, I love the name of your triple IPA.
Punk as fuck. Yeah.
There you go.
I almost wore the shirt. Yeah.
No, you should have. That would have been great.
It's a super fun one, and that was kind of some of the basis. SaltFire's been around for about 5 years, and so I've only been here for about a year at this point. But meeting Ryan and stuff, I mean, he has his mohawk that he dyes, and he's out either biking, skateboarding, or surfing every weekend. Like, we have a couple things like heavy metal parking lot or punk as fuck, and that's just kind of the vibe of the beers. And it's a really relaxing
Where does
place.
he go to
It's a
surf?
tap room, but it's
Where does he
It's
go to
got
surf?
French. He goes out to California. I think he drives down. He'll go for a couple days.
Not getting a lot of waves on the Salt Lake.
No, not quite.
Especially with what's left. Not much left of it right now, right?
Not quite much. I mean, better this year. We got a lot of snow.
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Got a
When we
ton
were
of
out,
snow.
there was still a ton of snow on the ground, and we were out there in late April.
Mm-hmm.
Still, Alta got record amounts.
Yeah, everywhere kind of got record amounts. And we've had really rainy spring, and so it's doing well right now.
Yeah, the lake will fill back up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sure.
There you go. I was going to say, I have to. I need to get out there. I haven't been to Utah.
You do.
I have to go out there. I have to get out there. But I've been to Denver multiple times, obviously. So it's like I love being in a city where it can be hot, where you're wearing a t-shirt and shorts and sweating, and look at the mountains in the distance and see snow caps on them. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I mean, the biggest difference is like if you go to Denver, you're looking, a mile or so, like a couple miles out to see the mountains. In Salt Lake, they're right there at your
you're looking
doorstep.
up. You look up at the mountain.
You're looking up at them.
It was funny because when we went, first place we went was Quitos.
Mm-hmm.
And Quitos isn't probably not one of the most scenic areas of Salt Lake.
No, down in what's called the Granary district. Yep.
3 great breweries right there. But she's like, oh my God, isn't this beautiful? I'm like, it's all warehouses. She goes, yeah, but look at the mountains. Okay, yeah, just elevate your eyes up, and absolutely, but you bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, and the valley everywhere has a mountain view.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you've got the Uintas on one side,
and then the Wasatch Front on
on the other side, right? It's right in the middle of the valley.
Or, it has a different name that I'm forgetting right now. It starts with an O.
But, it's so beautiful out there. Now we had we talked a little bit on an earlier show about the some of the laws in Utah when it comes to alcohol and because if you look at the 2 beers that I had while I was at SaltFire, they're both 8%.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I had the barrel aged Baltic Porter.
Okay. Yep.
Which was delicious, and I had a barrel aged Wee Heavy.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And most people who are not from Utah, around Utah, have been to Utah, think, wait a second, that's over 5%. You're not allowed to drink that.
Yep.
Now, when you brew, do you brew more towards that, 5%, so you've got something on tap to offer, or do you just not care and brew what you want to brew?
So for SaltFire, they kind of do the opposite of what a lot of people in Utah do. Most people brew for that 5% what you can have on draft.
Right.
SaltFire has historically always done high points. Even their things like a blonde is like 5.3, their Mexican lager is like 5.6. So it's just missing that mark.
Intentionally?
And they've never done too much with draft. That's been one of the big things with me coming on. I've been trying to push to have a little bit more of 5% beers on draft because especially for people who aren't used to the altitude, we are sitting about 4,600 square or whatever feet above sea level, and so it hits you a little bit different.
Hell yeah, no, it definitely does. Try, I tell people that all the time. Try going to. Have you been to Denver? Have you been to Avery?
Yeah.
In Denver. Okay. Avery, 48 beers on tap, 46 of them are over like 14%.
Yeah.
So try
Yeah,
sitting there and
been
having
nuts.
a few of them and like getting up to
it
walk.
hits you.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
so that's where, for especially most people I know here will go for a lot of the 5%, and you can have then more than what you would have with just like a high point. So
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting because John and I are both we've gotten more into the lagers, the pilsners lately, and we travel. And John's like me, where we'll look for the lower ABV. But by the time I was done going to some of the breweries that we've been to, I think SaltFire was the last one we hit that day. I'm like, I've had enough of these 5%ers.
Yep.
I was sitting in the right place.
You're right at the place. I'm looking at the menu on. I mean, it's on Untapped, right? But it's the link off of your website, and there's the Pilsner is 5.4, and the Mexican Lager is 5.5. The Los Braceros.
Yep.
All right. Everything else is 6 or there's 7.1, 8, 9.1, 7, 8, 9.1, 11.5, 9.6, 9.3, 6.3, 8. So it's.
So more often than not,
I love it.
Your tap lines are filled with cleanser rather than beer.
More often than not, or it's a great place where the Utah beer scene is very much that kind of friendly competition. We carry generally a couple other breweries on our own tap lines and stuff, and like everyone's in general really quick to recommend other breweries to help each other out. There's not a lot of not like hostility, but not like keeping secrets or anything. Like everyone's really friendly, everyone's really eager to help each other out when it comes down to it. So
I think there's a couple places we went to where they asked, well, where else have you gone?
Yeah.
And we tell them like, oh, that place is great. That place is great. There's no trash talking of the other breweries.
Nope.
They'll tell you, this is what we do. This is what they do. So it depends on what you like. Because we had parked just around the corner there. Went to Shades first.
Okay.
Which is appropriate to mention during today's show because it's Sunglasses Day, right?
Yep.
Right. And then walked over to SaltFire.
Yep.
So those two are really close, and the ones we were talking about earlier in the granary, that's TF Brewing, Temple and Family, Fisher, and Kitos. And Kitos is interesting because they actually have like a 2.3% beer on. They've got the Sati going.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot they had it.
Yeah, that's a fun one. You don't find that too often.
No, you don't.
But it's a Finnish brewery, so you're going to find a Sati at a Finnish brewery.
Mm-hmm.
So did you finish? Did you finish there? I'm sorry, I had to say it. It was a dad joke. I'm sorry.
I finished the Sati. No, I didn't. We actually started there, and I finished the Sati.
Anyway, there's a couple of things on here that I hope that you actually rebrew, because I got to get out there and have some of these.
I've told John multiple times since we got back from Utah, you got to get to Salt Lake. It's not what people say it is.
I'm going out. I'm trying to figure out how I can include it. I'm going out to JBF this year. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out maybe I can get up there before or after. So I'm trying to figure that out. So see what we can do.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's not as bad as what people say. It's the hardest part is that 5% on draft, and that's the piece that's kind of killing it out here.
Right.
Right. But that said, anything that you get in a can is typically very fresh, very much is sitting in the back of the brewery in a cold room, and like nothing's happening to it. Like it's as well taken care of as you can get anywhere. That's
awesome.
So
that's beautiful. By the way, quick note: I am drinking this beer right now. It's from Schultzbrow, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
Down at CBC down in Nashville. We stopped in Knoxville on the way, and Schultzbrow. I gave you the
Schwartz.
The Schwartz was fantastic. I walked away with a can of the Dunkel, and this is me having it right now. So
there it is.
I did have it there. So this isn't the first time I'm having it. I had it there, but this is pretty tasty. So 5.4% Dunkel, but they're brewing really good really good German beers at Schultzbräu. You had the Schwartz.
The Schwartz was really good, really good.
So there you go.
So actually, my son's going to be in Asheville in a week.
Nashville or
Asheville?
In Asheville,
because you'd gone to Asheville prior to that.
We went. Yeah, we made it. We made it a trip. We didn't fly to Nashville. We drove, and we drove 5 hours. Went to Richmond for a day, and then to Asheville, and then to Nashville via Knoxville. Obviously, stopped at Schultzbräu, and then on the way back, we stopped in Louisville. We had enough beer for 10 days at that point. We had some bourbon, and then we went to Pittsburgh and home. Hence the Dancing Gnome beer and home. So
I can't figure out why he's going to Asheville. He doesn't drink.
Yeah, what's he doing there? I mean, well, unless there's a good art scene there. I mean, that
he's going with his friends. I told him get the biscuit.
Does his friends drink?
They're all 19. They better not be.
For sure. Well, yeah, because you didn't have one drop of alcohol when you were 19, right? So.
No, I didn't have one drop.
Not at all. No.
I had a whole gush. A fountain.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Freshman year in college is when I really discovered beer.
Things were different when we were 19, Dave. You know, I mean,
we didn't have craft beer.
We didn't have craft beer. Like the craft. I mean, we had
Sam Adams. That was it.
Sam Adams. Yeah, Sam Adams. And if
somebody Sierra.
And Sierra and maybe Harpoon if one made it past you, and then you know, and then a little while after that you had Saranac and Pete's Wicked, but that was about it.
Yep, and Dixie.
And then Dixie, of course, and Samuel Smith's, obviously, if you're able to get some of that. So.
Yeah, Jay, we're old.
We're old.
She's like, I've never heard of any of these. Some of those beers.
She's heard of. She's heard of.
She's heard of most of them.
She's heard of most of them. She did. She might not have heard of.
Pete's
Wicked. She heard of Samuel Smith's. Yeah, Pete's Wicked and
Samuel Smith is from England. I said Samuel Adams.
Know that one as well. Mostly just from doing that beer class. We reach out and we try to find new things. So.
Oh, well, Sam Smith, when it comes to styles, they're like the epitome of some of the styles.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like their oatmeal stout is absolutely the classic oatmeal stout.
Yep.
You know, it's right dead center of all the tolerances of that style. And that's what they're known for. Just clean, beautiful beers.
Oh, yeah.
Very true. Very true. This is a little bit of foreshadowing for the top 3 list later, but we'll get there.
Oh, like I mentioned a Sati earlier, that wasn't foreshadowing.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, Sam might brew that once in a while too. So.
Oh, Colagione.
Yeah.
Yeah, he there's a few other things that he brews that I may have. No, I didn't put on the list. Never mind.
Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, there's a lot of the styles. We'll get there. We'll talk about this in a while. But I was just going to say, I'll say it now. There's a number of things that you could put on this list, which we're not going to say right now.
No, we'll get there.
That the only person that's brewed them in the last maybe 15 years in the States is Sam. So, but
in Rehoboth,
right? Exactly.
Nowhere else.
Anyway, well, Milton actually, but maybe in Rehoboth. So.
Yeah, but the small batches will come out of there.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, all right. Let's talk about a little bit about judging. What's some of the bigger things that you've done over the years?
Bigger ones I've done is the Best of Craft Beer Awards, which generally I believe is out in Bend, Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Right. The other one is the International Beer Awards, which is up in Idaho Falls. Outside of those, the biggest, I mean, I haven't done GABF yet. I'm waiting to hear back if I get my national certification.
Gotcha. So you do the World Beer Cup or anything like that? Yeah. So
I think I've done preliminary rounds for
the World Beer Cup. Yeah.
Gotcha. But so just a couple different competitions, and
we have a mutual friend, and she's amazing. She's the I don't know the actual adjective I want to use, but she's definitely an OG in the brewing industry in New Jersey, and she's a BJCP judge, and she does the World Beer Cup every year, and that's Gretchen Schmidhausler, and she owns Little Dog Brewing, which is about 2 miles that way. I'm sorry, about a mile and a half that way, and she lives about 10 blocks from me that way. So
she was the first female master brewer in New Jersey.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's John and I have known her for a long time, and she's amazing.
yeah, she's great.
Oh, well, that's super cool.
And she went to CBC, but she went early just to do the World Beer Cup, and then she didn't even stay for CBC. She's like, we had a beer, and then she texted me. We were supposed to have one on Sunday. She's like, I'm so over beer right now. I'll see you at home. She goes.
It definitely happens, especially some of the competitions where, like, International Beer Awards is about a week of judging, and by the end of it, you are so over beer.
Oh yeah.
Well, when I brought up that question earlier, what's the hardest part? The one of the answers I expected was the sheer volume of
volume and palate fatigue.
Yes, and palate fatigue
really hits you.
I liked your answer better, though.
Yeah, I mean,
no, your answer was perfect. I love it
because in my limited experience, John, I think I've told you who was the other challenging judge.
Yeah.
I
know.
I'm not going to say it.
No.
He's been on the show.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where I would say 99% of the time judges are great. There's a bad apple every now and then.
Right.
So.
Well, I met two people. The first time I judged, I met two people. One's a good friend now, Al Gattulo. That's how I met Al. Was judging, and Chris Mazie was the other. That's how I met.
And Al was just on a show 2 weeks ago. So
yes, we still got to get a date together for the Mets game.
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
that.
I got a couple ideas. I'll talk to you later about it. But
excellent.
And hopefully it's after they actually start to play baseball. But I won't go there right now.
They don't know.
Right. So I'm going to save that rant for tomorrow night's sports podcast.
Yeah, you do that in the sports podcast. I don't need to hear about it.
No, you'll tune in though, because I'm sure you will. So
the
top of the show.
The
top of the show. No,
don't
well, maybe watch it afterwards. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
but tell Harry I said hi.
I will do so. Yeah, that's great though. I love the fact that you're getting the one in Oregon, the one in Bend, Oregon. Say it again.
Best of Craft Beer.
Best of Craft Beer Awards, right? Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's a cool one, and I mean there's a bunch of great ones. I love the fact that you're getting that you're doing all of those.
Yep, that's where, especially just with being new kind of like with it being my job now and everything,
sure. Took
a little bit of time off and hoping to really get back into it for traveling and judging and getting around. Maybe I'll make it out to your guys' neck of the woods.
And you better let us know if you do.
No, yeah, if you do. And if you do, and I'll update you, but the plan right now is our new tasting room opening weekend, fingers crossed, should be St. Patrick's Day next year. So I'll let you know. So if you do make it out this way, at least after that, if not for that day, and then.
What brewery's tasting room would that be, John?
That would be the brewery of the double dry hop, double New England IPA that you're going to have next.
Yeah, this is true. All the swag that John's wearing right now. Okay. And we have to bring it up because that's product placement for our sponsor.
There you
go. Let me go grab that right now.
Why don't you go?
Yeah, I'm going to go drink a hazy now, which is actually a rare thing for me.
It is a rare thing.
John knows that. When was the last time I drank 2 IPAs on the show? When was the last time I drank 1 IPA on the show?
It's been a while since you drank an IPA. It's been a while since I drank an IPA on the show.
Yeah,
we've been sticking with the lagers a lot lately. I mean, we are the lager room guys, right? So,
but when we first started, how long was it before we actually drank a lager?
I think it was honestly the first. We've been doing this about 3 years now, and I would say the first month and a half. Maybe 2 months, but a month and a half. It was just Dave and I. It was just the two of us. And then we started having guests every week, right?
Oh, okay.
Every now and then we'll do just the two of us show. We did one last week. But for the most part, it's guests every week. This is show 138. Okay. In any event, it was probably, I'd say 4 or 5 shows before we had one of us actually had a lager, and we're the lager room guys. So there you go. But lately, we haven't been drinking any IPAs, any ales for that matter. We've been drinking almost all lagers. So,
well, and that's kind of what I feel like happens with especially people who really get into craft beer is they start off with their IPAs, they get really excited about it, and almost to the point of like snobbery of like, oh, IPAs is the best way to go. And then
it's
you
not
start
craft beer unless it's an IPA.
I mean, yeah, exactly. It's not craft beer.
right.
And then you start getting into lagers once you kind of get burnt out on the hops. And then you really start getting into beer at that point.
That's me.
Mm-hmm.
So
but you go through phases. It comes around, it goes around.
Yeah.
Like, I love my IPAs. Portland, born and raised. Can't talk enough about IPAs. I hardly ever drink them at this point.
I know. I'm not, and I'm the same way. I love hops. I mean, to the point where, and I'll be honest with you, back the first time I had a super hop forward beer, and I'm talking, obviously dating myself as Dave and I pretty much have already, but it was in the 80s, right? The super hop forward beer, super floral, super grassy, super earthy, right? To the point where I almost did a spit take. Like, what the hell am I drinking, right? Now, or at least at some point, if you give me a handful of hops, I'll eat them. That's how much I love hops now, right? But it's like you said, it's palate fatigue, but not just a week's worth of beer judging palate fatigue. It's just global palate fatigue. Yep. Give me these lagers, give me these crispies, give me, that's what I want now. And I'll enjoy, but I will enjoy a really good IPA when I have it because I'm drinking the lagers all the time. So.
Speaking of a really good IPA, Coastal Brew Works Trojan Seahorse.
I might have to put that up there.
But now we have someone working.
Hold on. There. It's that can right.
You can see it right here. You don't need to do that. Anyway.
Oh wait, no. I could do this too. Hold on, I could do this.
No, he's got the labels. Here we go. Product placement.
There you go.
Don't worry about it.
Oh well, that's fun.
Now, someone who works in the brew house, I want to see if this is a thing, because when we were in Asheville, we went to Sierra Nevada, took the tour. They bring you into the hop room.
Oh my God!
They take some hops out into a bucket. Now I say once it's in the bucket and once we get our hands in it, we can't use these hops. So do whatever you want with these hops. So of course I'm just crushing them between my hands. I've got my hands like this. I didn't want to wash my hands for days. Now you get the same thing when you're handling hops, where you just want to keep that resin on your hand, or are you immediately to the sink?
You walk in the hop room and you're going up to bins like that with just the hops out and like that, So
I mean, to be fair, like Sierra Nevada is the #1 craft brewery for hops. I believe in the world. Deschutes is #2. So Sierra Nevada is by like a large amount. Like
they don't have to worry about the catching them or anything.
Yeah, like they have plenty to go around. Working actually in it, I'm usually in my coveralls, and you're covered in beer, and you smell like beer, you smell like hops all day long, and generally you're ready to get out of it when you're getting home. It's not quite. It's still wonderful. It smells great. But yeah, you'll just go back to work the next day and get right back on you. So
what he was asking is like, we have any requests? What hot? Like, can we grab some Simcoes? He's like, there's no Simcoes in the room.
Well, and that's where, that's one of my biggest issues with IPAs versus like lagers. You can still have super hoppy lagers go with your, German Pilsners, your Czech Pilsners and stuff. Sure. But so many of the hops are just going for whatever is craziest, the most tropical, dankest and stuff. And a lot of times I'm like, just bring back some like Cascade, bring back some Centennial, just some of that real true like pine and like orange peel resinous.
Oh, these days, if I can find a West Coast IPA that is like getting smacked in the face with a pine branch, I'll drink the hell out of that. Because to your point, the reason I think I'm mostly off of IPAs right now is you get the tropical bombs, the melon bombs, like you said, the dank ones. Those are not. I grew up with the pine. I grew up with the citrus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's the profile I like.
Yeah, I need that every now and then, and more often now than then.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pine, the earthy, the classic styles like you just said, the Cascade Centennial.
Your three C's.
But it's right, of course. But it's amazing to me, still amazing to me to this day, the flavors that some of these hops impart. Right? I mean, we do a 5% New England, and we use Sabra Motueka. So it's coconut and lime, right?
Yep.
And everybody says, "Oh my God, the coconut and lime that you put in this beer." I'm like, "We didn't put any coconut and lime in this beer." It's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm loving every minute of it, and
if you know how to use them.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's just it. And I can't. I respect anybody brewing whatever they're brewing, right? But somebody that comes to me and says, "Hey, taste this new IPA I made. I use 14 hops in it." Like, why?
You don't need more.
You
than
just
3,
wasted money.
Like, I don't know. I feel like whether it's commercial or it's homebrew, like stick with 3 hops max. You're
100%
fine.
agree.
100%. 3
Absolutely.
is the perfect amount. 2, if the blend is perfect, and I love smash beers. I mean, you do a really good smash beer. It's amazing.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to go do that many. Just make more beer and like experiment that way. But you're not gonna get the individual hops at that point.
No, not at all. For those of you wondering, smash beers are single malt and single hop. SMASH.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way about eggnog. You get those people like, "Oh, I've got 12 different whiskeys in here." Why?
Why
would you
put one good one in there?
One is fucking and I don't even put whiskey in my eggnog. I put amaretto.
Well, there you go.
That way
Actually,
everyone.
you know what? And he said that for years. He's been saying that to me, and I never had it. This past like 6 months ago, I did it. Oh my God,
it's beautiful.
It was really good. I'll still do one. I'll still have one with bourbon or whatever. But
you have to do the classic. You've got to do the classic every now and then. But
I will have it with. Oh my God, it was so good. I'm like, why haven't I been doing this?
Oh,
why did I listen to him 10 years ago? Right?
Do it with the amaretto. You're going to get the great ants drunk at Thanksgiving.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
I'll tell you that right now.
Gotta love it.
And you get them drunk, they can be fun.
Oh yeah.
No, they can be fun. They will be fun. Right.
Get your cameras ready.
Exactly. So what's on the horizon for SaltFire?
That's a good question.
Event wise, beer wise, both.
Event wise, trying to do just some more like tap room activities. I know right now we've been like really doing a lot with the music scene, bring in some like live musicians and stuff.
Nice.
Most nights, I would say. Really, one of the other big ones is we just had with Pride Month and everything. We had like our big Pride release party and everything. We had drag queens come in, and it was a super fun time. And
That's
so
great.
maybe doing some stuff around that with the community.
we just had the Pride Parade in New York.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they do that, especially because the way they light up the Empire State Buildings.
Oh yeah,
it's just
It's
gorgeous.
a spectacle for sure.
Yeah, it's really something else.
And it is. Yeah, it really is.
And so just trying to do some more events that are just kind of fun and like get people in, because in general, like people are definitely going out a little bit less, and people are wanting to drink more at home post COVID. As what has kind of been seen across the board. So finding those events and finding those things that kind of like keep people coming back.
Mm-hmm. Do you do do you teach your classes at the brewery or elsewhere?
I haven't. I've been teaching them just out of my house. I might teach them at the brewery just because Light Rail is close by, but we'll see.
God, I wish I'd known that. I would have drank more.
Yeah. The whole transit goes about a block or two away. So they are Utah blocks, which are significantly larger.
Yes, Utah blocks are pretty long. When we we went to TF. We were going to park halfway between TF and Fisher, but we wound up parking close to TF, and then we're going to walk to Fisher. And I went, "Well, no, I'm just going to drive. It's only 2 blocks. It's 2 very long blocks."
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that in cities like New York, right, a block is like that long, right? Well, a street block is that long. An avenue block is like 9 miles long, right? But a street block is like that long. But in
other cities,
that are, you know, mindset smaller, much smaller than New York, it's as big as it is. You know? It's funny, yeah. So, but that's cool. That's cool doing it at the brewery. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be really good. Any beers coming on the horizon? Any new things?
New beers. We'll kind of see with fall. I want to do. This goes into our later topic, but there are some beer styles I definitely want to start brewing and bringing back kind of into circulation a little bit more.
Nice. We'll talk about them when we get to them. I'll throw this up there right now. This is my 3rd beer. Dave's actually had it on the show because I gave him a can, and he's had it before. Another one from Tennessee, from Jackalope Brewing, Bear Walker. It's a maple brown ale, and it's not on my list for later, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is definitely like at the fringe of the of the styles.
One of our earliest top 3s that we did was top 3 favorite adjuncts. John's favorite is maple.
My favorite adjunct is maple. Dave's favorite.
Okay,
maple.
That's a strong one.
My
favorite adjunct south really quick.
Right, you got to do it right. You got to do it right.
Yeah.
You can go so wrong with maple. You can make the beer taste like a Starbucks coffee if you're not careful.
Right.
Yep.
Overcooked.
Right. And Dave's favorite adjunct, of course, is coconut.
Love the coconut.
Yeah. Does tequila count?
Of course.
Oh, I don't know if that's an adjunct. That is called is that a sidecar?
Yeah. No, a tequila like barrel IPA is still.
Oh, it's the barrel.
That's the barrel is a super fun one, but
you would have to have very specific hop. Maltueca would definitely do very well.
Yeah,
with one of those, right?
There's certain hops you can do, but
right, so then we should put building sandcastles in a tequila barrel. Is what you're saying, Dave?
Building sandcastles should go in a tequila barrel.
All right, I'll have to work on that.
Yes,
building Mexican sandcastles.
How about just
up here?
How about just face down in the sand? Call
it. That'll work. Too.
Face down in the sand is a great name for a beer.
601. There you go. I'll have to work on that. Hold on, I'm writing that down. Matt, if you're listening, write that down. Face down in the sand. Actually, you know what? I am going to write that down. That's really good. Anyway, face down.
I do love that. You know, the bourbon barreling. You know, it started pretty early.
Yeah. And
it ruled for the longest time. And now just, you know, in the past 4 or 5 years, they're exploring so many other the barrels to now add flavor and character to beers. And it's wonderful to see all the different, you know, John loves his gin barrels. And there's some really good gin barrel aged stuff out there.
And rye. Gin and rye. Those are my 2 favorite barrels. So.
I love the beers that have been. I've only had a few where they've aged them in port barrels.
Yep.
Oh, those are so good. Those are so good. Love that.
At Schultzbrow in Knoxville, we had a port barrel aged Doppelbock, which was amazing.
Oh God, I can imagine.
I feel like wine barrels and beer go really well with each other. My all-time favorite style is a Flanders red, which is your like red wine barrels and sour, like amber beer.
Remind me to tell you a story about Duchess de Bourgogne. I'll fill you in. But yeah, Flanders red's an amazing style. I love a good Flanders red.
Yes,
absolutely.
It's the perfect amount of just like malty goodness with a little bit of acidity and
and a true sour, which these days is really hard to find.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, Carrie was complaining about that earlier because she loves her sours, and finding a good true sour beer And
It's hard.
and you probably I don't know, you probably teach this, but it's something I learned a long time ago to determine if the beer is actually sour or not. Hold your nose while you're drinking it.
Oh, interesting. I
And
actually haven't heard that one yet, so I'll use that.
yeah, hold your nose when you're drinking it, and if you don't taste sour, the beer's not sour.
Right.
Yeah, it's
If
just
you release your nose and it tastes sour, it just tastes sour.
and that's one of the big differences. It's hard to find. I mean, kettle sours where you add in your lactic enzyme and everything. It's faster. It's a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Versus holding up the real estate, getting the barrels,
Right.
doing
Well,
everything.
Right. That's the whole thing. If you want to put like tap room only, if you want to get like a quick 3-barrel or 5-barrel kettle sour out there, bing bang boom, throw some fruit in it, out the door. They're gonna kick the 3 or 5 barrels in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
Done.
they go
Yeah.
so fast.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Go for
And
it.
there's some good ones out there.
Hmm.
You know, John, one of my favorite beers that Smug brewed was a black currant kettle sour.
Oh yeah. And black currants are another one of my 3 top 3 adjuncts. So.
Yes.
Right.
But to actually find a true sour where that time is taken, where your face has puckered, and you just drink more of it because you're just more and more thirsty the more you drink it. It's just drying you out.
Oh yeah.
You have to love this.
I mean, plug for Minnesota, plenty of like true wild fermentation breweries out there.
Mm-hmm.
The other plug is for SaltFire. We don't do kettle sours. We only do actual like wild fermentation.
There you go.
And you have to respect that.
There you go. And speaking of wild fermentation, I just want to put this out there today, and Dave will agree with me. Congratulations to Dougie Fresh and his wife Laura on the birth of their child today.
Yes.
It was very cheers.
Cheers, Freshie.
Cheers, Fresh. There you go. I'll cut that one piece out and send it to him. But anyway.
Well, and then there's also the congratulations to Muckraker, one of the few true wild brewed beers in New Jersey for their move in collaboration
with two villains, formerly of Nyack, New York, and what's funny is. Yes, congratulations to Steve and John and all of them, Sean and John rather, from Two Villains, getting together with Tom and getting their thing going up in Vernon. But what's funny is they had their other brand after they closed Two Villains in Nyack, which was Never Dead, and now Never Dead is dead.
They're dead
because they're getting Two Villains back together with.
A little bit of irony there.
A little bit of irony there. So, but who knows? Maybe they'll pop up again. I'll have to talk to them. But in any event,
if they do pop up again, they better rename the brewery Never Undead.
Never Undead. There you go. But in any event, but cheers to Freshie because Wild Air, they do a lot of wild sours.
Yeah.
I think they've done a kettle sour too, but it's all spontaneous fermentation. It's all the bigger stuff. It's all Doug. Is like probably next to Tom Troncone. He's probably the most
experienced
in New Jersey spontaneous fermentation. So anyway,
yeah,
and that is not by me, Jay. That is by Dave. The Sirens. So I just wanted to put that out.
That's not even loud yet.
Well, if we lose Dave, then we know what happened. So.
That's not even loud yet. That's actually still about 6 blocks away.
Oh no! See, when he used to actually have his desk in the other room, which was closer to the firehouse, which he's next to.
No, I was closer to the window.
The window is closer to the firehouse. That's my point. So when the fire department actually went out, forget about it. We actually had to pause the show for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds while the truck left. So
yeah, it's not that's going right through the living room.
It's great. So it's definitely like a legacy thing on the podcast with the sirens going. It's great. I love it. It's our thing. It's our thing. Anyway, all right. I think it's time for our top threes. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Gotten there. This top three was brought to us by our guest, and it's a phenomenal idea. when she pitched to me, I sent it to John. He's like, "Yeah, let's do that. That's great."
Absolutely, 100%. And I don't know why we haven't done it yet. So it's wonderful that.
This is why we asked the guests, because John and I can't think of everything. We try to.
I mean, we're approaching 140 shows, so obviously, that's 140 top 3 lists.
And we've only recycled. we've only recycled, I think, 3 of them. There's a few that we recycle.
We recycle them. We recycle them we do holiday beers. We change it every year. Most of the last couple of years have been the same, but we do that.
Yeah, my holiday beer never changes.
We have my number 1 never changes. My number 2 and 3 and honorable mentions might change, but my number 1 never does. And oddly enough, on just a quick foreshadow, nobody knows this yet. We'll throw it out there now. On July 25th, okay, exactly 5 months prior to Christmas, we're doing a Christmas in July show with 2 guests that have been on the show numerous times, Tom Mulvihill and John Starodomsky. And they're everybody knows who they are, and John's written for Mid-Atlantic Brew News, and they've all been on the show. And between Beer Whisperer and Honest Craft Beer Reviews, they know what they're talking about.
Tom's got a following, and he's been in this as long as we have,
as well as John, right? Yep. And we're going to talk about we're going to drink Christmas beers in July, but we're also going to talk about why Anchor is making us all sad.
I'm just not happy to hear that. Anyway, top 3.
Anyway, so the top 3 list tonight. So again, brought to us by Jay. Top 3 favorite beer styles that are impossible to find. Top 3 favorite beer styles that are impossible to find. Jay, please kick it off for us, please.
All right.
Start us off. Before she does, the impetus behind this is your judging, right? You say you teach all these different styles.
Yep. So with judging and doing the class and everything, we go through all of the BJCP styles. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are things that brewers who are taking the class or home brewers have never had before.
Amazing.
And so it's one of those things where as you're going through, you're like, why isn't this more popular? Why aren't we seeing this out and about? Because there are some styles that are just really good. People just don't know about them. And so probably my first number 1 pick would be California Common for your steam beer.
Speaking of
does your number, you going 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1?
Or no order.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't. No order is fine.
Yeah, I don't know which way that we go, honestly. But I love my California Commons. It's just a wonderful. It's essentially like a pale ale that's a little more caramel forward with Northern Brewer hops, and so you get a real mint woody characteristic on a pale ale, and it's just clean, crisp. Like a Kolsch, it's hybrid, so you're taking a lager yeast typically, and you're fermenting a little bit warmer. It's a very refreshing style that I just don't know why people don't do it.
We actually had a brewery here in Jersey do one recently. I may have 1 can of it left. Bolero Snort did one. Mm-hmm. And they actually nailed the style. They did a great job with it.
It was very good. The steam beer they did was very, 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 very tasty. Yeah. So anyway, okay, call it California Common.
California Common. Mm-hmm. The other one, that's once again a little bit more malty. I know in general that's not what people are going for. And it's also another hybrid.
Where do you hear mine?
I mean, there seems to be this this pattern for me of hybrid beers, which is alt beer. And so especially during fall time frame, I love my alt beers.
Wait till you hear mine.
I know damn well that's on John's list.
Yeah. I mean, because they're amazing. I don't know why people don't brew them. They're phenomenal. They're it's just like a lagered malty ale. They're wonderful.
It's
absolutely
so
wonderful.
So good.
And then probably my last one, going based on what we were talking about earlier, is like a true Berliner Weiss that isn't just a kettle sour, but has actually been aged. It's only like 4%. It's just good for summer. Only place I've really found them where they do them correctly and don't do them dirty is Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because you can find Berliner Weisses quite a few places.
Yep.
Almost always they're kettle sours.
Yeah, they're always
Right.
fruited.
They're always, yeah, exactly.
Always
now,
fruited, always kettle sours.
now, an actual just the regular base
Yep.
Berliner Weiss, or are you looking for like
No,
with
just like normal
Woodruff or
base. Just like give me.
I haven't seen anybody that actually just puts Woodruff syrup in it.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly. I mean, because it's just like a nice light wheat beer that has a little bit of oak character, and like that's all you need. Like, you don't need all the other stuff with it.
I know. Awesome. Cool.
I like this.
All right, those are great. Those are 3 great ones. You'll hear mine when I get to them. But Dave, take it away on your 3, or 6, whatever it is.
6 is a good number. No, there's. I actually wrote 2 down. When we were talking because you were talking about Clagione, Dogfish Head brewing some of these really off styles, and I remember the one time I was at the brew pub, had a Kvass and a Chicha.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's this styles you're never going to find. But they're not on my list as favorites. I just want to mention those. My honorable mention actually is the Roggen beer.
Okay.
You know, a nice. You know, the Germans do so many great things with the grains they have, and to give them some rye and go here, do something with this. And damn, finding a good Roggen beer is not an easy thing to do.
I mean, it's banana bread in a cup.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
so
these guys who I mentioned earlier, Ghost Hawk, the last good Roggen beer I had, they had actually made.
We've been working for a little bit on a collab with Wet Ticket Brewing in Rahway, New Jersey, Matt and I, with for a good Roggen beer recipe. So there will be one coming out and as a collab, but we'll certainly do it by us as well. So.
But now I'll give my 3. There's
and hold on 1 second. Actually, anybody paying attention and is going to wind up in Knoxville at Schultzbrow, an amazing Roggen beer they had there.
Yeah. Oh, no, I need to go because you don't find a good Roggen beer too often. My 2 and 3 are interchangeable because they're such different beers.
Roggen beer's your number 1?
No, that's an honorable mention, John.
Oh, it's an honor. Oh, so you did have 6.
I did. I told you I had 6.
All right.
You mentioned that. This is the part of the show where John and I start to bicker like a married couple.
That's fair.
But so 3 or 2 is my heritage is Polish. So I'm going to call it a Grodzicki rather than a Grasser. But those lighter smoke beers. When I was in Utah, TF was doing one.
Yep.
And they've got a series where they rotate the wood they smoke it with. Mm-hmm. They smoke their own malts. That's you can have respect for that.
They don't buy floor malt.
Nope.
They don't buy smoked malt.
They're not
smoke their own malt.
They're not buying their malts from Bamberg for these. They're smoking their own malts. They're rotating the wood they're smoking.
We actually did a smoked beer show earlier this year, like in January of this year, and Dave and I both had 2 Grodzickis that day on the show. Yeah. Well, oddly enough, we normally have 2 or 3 beers on the show. We had 6 beers each on the show that day. So.
We went a little overboard that show.
A little bit.
So the Grodzicki, that's one of them, and the other 2 or 3 is something that is a very polarizing beer. And I had a friend who, when I told him about this particular style, he says, "Never give me one of those unless you don't tell me what it is first." And I did manage to sneak an oyster stout to him.
Okay, yeah.
And he starts.
They're wonderful until you have to clean out the boil kettle.
So, as a drinker, not a brewer / janitor.
But to this day, Dave still hasn't had the best oyster stout that I've
Rocky Mountain oyster stout. Yes, I've not been to Denver. I will have to get there and try that. But it was funny because he takes. So I hand it to him. It was actually I think it was Pearls Before Swan, 21st Amendment. He starts to drink this. He goes, "Oh my god!" He goes, "This is
Pearl Necklace is not a bad oyster stout either from
no,
Flying
it's not.
Dog.
Flying Dog.
It's pretty tasty.
It's actually
oyster stout, yeah.
But he starts drinking. He's like, "My god, this has just got a lovely, silky mouthfeel to it." He goes, and there's a slight salinity. You son of a bitch! When he figured it out, I love that.
Love Stout from Yards is very good too.
Oh yes, Love. That's a very good stout. Yeah. But that's an underappreciated, and I think it's mostly out of fear with that one, where people don't get it. That no, you're not chewing on a booger when you big marine booger. It's what the oysters impart to it. It's amazing.
It's very similar to mushroom beers that you can get. There's not many places that'll do it, but it gives a certain kind of umami character. Mm-hmm. You can't really find in anything else. You don't get from malt. It's very similar.
We do a few mushroom stouts, and we had actually one when we were in Richmond on the trip down to CBC. We actually had a stout with, I forget, Matt has it because we talked to the brewer when we were there at Vassen, Vassen. In Scott's Edition,
there's 2 dots over the A. It's Vossen.
2 dots is Vossen, in Scott's Edition in Richmond, and they did one. Whatever mushrooms they used actually gave, and it was perfect for me. Right, it was a quad, but it gave a maple flavor. The mushrooms through maple. It was amazing. It was so good. So Matt Max has it. So anyway, go ahead.
But my number one, Jay, when you first mentioned this category, it popped in my head immediately. They're so hard to find, and I love them. Lichtenheiners.
Oh yeah. I know here in Utah, TF does do one.
Oh, they didn't have one on when I was there. Otherwise, I would never have left.
It's one. So
great style. I'm glad you said that. That's awesome.
Yeah, they do one out here. The only other place I think I've ever seen one was out in Minnesota at that Back Channel place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a super good, hard to find style.
Almost impossible to find. I think I've drank maybe 5 in my lifetime.
Yep.
It is, for those who don't know, it is a German smoked sour.
Mm-hmm.
Or a German soured smoke beer. I don't know which came first.
Smoked sour works for me.
200 years ago, everything was sour and smoked for beer.
Yep. Right. This was combined,
and it wasn't intentional either, because
exactly
the organisms and something burning in the corner while they were floor malting. So
this is how this came about, and it's funny because I have a description of the way these things smell that not everyone agrees with, but it works for me. It smells like a really good Italian deli because it smells like meat and cheese.
There you go.
Meat and sharp cheese is what it smells like to me, and it's just. I love these things. The last one I ever had, John, if you remember when we did the show at Nobo.
Yep, exactly. Right.
They actually had 2. They'd actually done 2. The one, I forget what they'd done to it, but that was like, I looked at Darren and went, that's not a Lichtenheiner, but the other one actually was.
Was a Lichtenheiner,
yeah. And for a German smoked sour brewed in Florida, it wasn't bad.
And that was a holiday show.
It was Florida.
I know. So, anyway. All right.
Yours.
Mine. All right. I will. My honorable mentions, I'll throw out there. Of course, I'm going to throw Rogan Beer and Grudzitsky in there. By far. I will. And somebody posted today in This Week in Route Beer. Just route beers in general. There's a lot of breweries now popping up with making smoked beers. Just in general. I mean, get Jay.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that was definitely going to be one of mine. They're starting to come back into favor.
Yeah.
I think they're amazing and wonderful.
Well, this week
just don't find them much.
Do you know
behind this?
Do you know the Facebook group This Week in Route Beer? I don't know if you.
No, I don't.
Or whatever.
Okay.
Oh, you got to look it up.
All right. Do you know the author John Hall? He's written. Okay. John's a good friend of ours. When we did the Smoke Beer show in January, John was on with us. He was the guest. He was on with us. And he started that This Week in Route Beer Facebook page on a dare from I won't mention his first
No,
name on the show.
you can say Augie Carton.
Augie Carton, right?
That's two. We can't say it
two.
again.
We can't say it again, right? But in any
He's like
event,
Beetlejuice. He'll pop up.
he pops
he's
right
in
up.
Ireland.
He's in Ireland right now, so he's good, right? Yeah. It's actually.
Oh yes, 2 in the morning.
It's 2 in the morning there. He's good, right?
No, it's 3 in the morning actually.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1:44. Yeah. So, anyway,
So.
but in any event, so and it's blown up, and somebody posted today. It's that I forget what some brewery was releasing another Rauch beer, and he said it's amazing. The post was it's amazing how many Rauch beers are popping up. Are we doing our job correctly? On the Facebook page, right? So it's pretty funny.
I actually embarrassed John by telling him I really think this resurgence in Rauch beer is due to your page. I agree. I think so because I have drank more Rauch beer because of that page.
I love Rauch beer. I've always loved Rauch beer. I've always loved a good smoky beer.
But still, I've drank.
But I've had more. I've had more in the last year and change than I've had probably in any 4-year grouping in the past. And I'll attribute it to John. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's crazy. Anyway. So I said Rogan beer, Grodzisky, so Rauch beer in general is an honorable mention. One more honorable mention I'll throw out there. Weizenbach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got Doppelbox, you got Weiss beers or whatever, and so forth. But Weizenbachs, like the heavy, but like I only leave it as an honorable mention because I love the style. The only reason I leave it as an honorable mention is because you can get it. All you got to do is find Tap 6 Aventinus. And you got a Weizenbach.
Exactly.
John, do you remember where I had my last Weizenbach?
I'm throwing this at you right now. He had it at Schneiderweiss on Tap 6. But he's there in Germany, and he texts me at noon while he was drinking it at 7 in the morning. He's waking me up with a picture of him drinking Aventinus on that. Right. So anyway, but my 3 styles. Here we go. Number 3 is very polarizing. Some people don't agree with me. I love them. I really, really, really do love them, especially the barrel-aged ones. More so the barrel-aged ones than just a straight one, and that's wheat wine.
Oh, okay.
I love a good wheat. I really, really, really love a good wheat wine.
It is a challenging style.
So
it really is. Most people associate wheat with a lighter bodied, easier to drink beer.
Yeah.
Now you're going to take it and you're turning it into a monster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You definitely need to give it time.
Exactly.
A lot of the examples I've ever had are really few sold. They're very young.
You need to sit. You need to put it there and forget about it for a long time. You know, that's you can't. Yeah, you want a fusel bomb? Sure, pull it out right away and start drinking it. Right, but no, you got to forget about it. You got to set it and forget it, as Rod Popeil used to say. Right, right. But yes, again, Jay, we're old. But anyway, but wheat wines. That's my number 3. Number 2, an English old ale.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
an amazing style that you rarely see. Nobody's making an old. I haven't. I mean, honestly, I can't remember the last time I had an actual English old ale, and I love the style.
It's essentially you're just taking, like a Flanders or something, but that isn't sour, and so what you're gonna get over time isn't more like.
Right.
Of the microbiology going on, you're going to just get more oxidation, more of that sherry note.
Right.
It's hard to find. You don't find them.
You don't find it. So that's why, we went like, at first Dave was saying like, maybe we should go back and forth. Like when you had told him what we were saying, hard to find styles. When we went to the impossible. Find me an old ale right now. Right.
Well, then you'll get like in the U.S., someone will label something an old ale, and you take a sip and like, that's a barley wine.
It's a barley wine. Yeah,
that's not an old ale.
It's a lighter barley wine. They're just trying to it's a cross between a brown ale and a barley wine. You know, and while it's close, it's not an old ale.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. And my number 1, and Jay, you said it before, it was your number 2, a Stickel, an alt beer. Yeah,
alt beer.
That's by far my number one favorite, really difficultly hard to find style. And I got a cute little story. People, we've said it before on the show, but I'll tell you. 2 years ago,
we're going back to this.
We're going to Portland. Yeah, 2 years ago.
My experience at Navarre Res. I was
2 years
hoping
ago
you
we're
would
up in
bring
Portland,
this up.
right? And I don't know if you've been to Portland, Maine.
I haven't.
Okay, there's like one of the best craft beer bars in the country. I'll say it right now. As far as I'm
not that night.
Not that night for you.
Not that night. Okay.
It's called Navarre Res. Now they have a bottle list that's second to none, except for then. But
they were still recovering from COVID, and
we're just coming out of the pandemic. Distribution was difficult. They weren't getting what they normally get.
I'll get back there, give them a second chance.
Absolutely, you need to. I've been there many times. It's amazing. It's an amazing place. Anyway, so Dave is looking. He's looking at all these bottles on the list, and he's ordering this. No, we're out of it. He's ordering this. No, we're out of it. He's ordering for like 15 minutes. Right? He keeps ordering. Right? And I was looking at a few of them, but he was like taking the lead on that. I go, you know what? Do you have the Urige Stickel? And she's like, yes, I do. Boom. She goes and gets it for me. He's looking at the list and everything. She brings it out. He goes, you know what? I'll have one of the Uriges too. She goes, I'm sorry, that was the last bottle.
Yeah. It happens quite a bit, I feel like, especially when it's really obscure like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my number one style. Yeah, alt beer. And we were talking about Gretchen Schmidhauser before. There is a forthcoming collab with Coastal and Little Dog. And it's going to be called Dog Beach.
Right.
And it's going to be a Stickel alt.
Very nice.
There you go. And it came about actually last year, 2022, out in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Matt and I were talking to Gretchen at we were CBC. With CBC. We were at Fulton. John Hall actually was doing a podcast. And
when isn't he doing a podcast?
When isn't he doing a podcast? And we're talking with Gretchen, and we're like, we're definitely brewing it all beer. She looks at us and she says, no. And we're like, what? She says, no. Why not? She says, you're not brewing one without me. She goes,
she's a German-centric,
amazing
brewery.
German brewer. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Schmidhauser should have given that away.
Exactly. Anyway, all right. That was that. When Dave told me that you came up with that idea for the top three, I was, why haven't we done? I said it before. Why haven't we done this list before? Yeah, that was great.
There's plenty of other beers out there that we just don't see outside of, your IPAs and kettle sours.
Exactly.
Now we expect to see more of these styles on SaltFire.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
This is going to be the big change, just like the Facebook page.
You know what? I will be forever indebted to anybody that is part and parcel to this. What lagers have been doing over the last, I'll say 2 years. I'll say 2 years. If any of these styles, and route beers, obviously they're kind of making their way too, right? Any of these styles, alt beers, old ales, Weizenbachs, anything, wheat wines, California Commons, and
Kentucky Commons too.
Right? Exactly, Kentucky Commons. And we mentioned before, Anchor obviously is pulling back all their distribution just to California, and they're getting rid of Christmas Ale, which is a 47-year tradition.
Which is all the more reason to start brewing California Commons.
Right. So California Commons are going to be just San Francisco only, basically, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Let's all make California Commons.
John will be right back.
You'll be right back? All right. Dave will be right back. Gee, I wonder, Jay, where he has to go.
Yeah, I have a hunch.
Anyway, but yeah, no, any of those styles. I'll be forever indebted to anybody that makes any of those styles that I mentioned, or for that matter, any of us have mentioned tonight.
Yeah.
As gets them back into circulation. And it doesn't even have to be to the level that lagers have taken. Just anywhere. Just give me a couple of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If clearly, like we'll brew an old ale because I want to.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I was gonna say I might look at brewing an old ale after you saying that, because yeah, they're super fun. That's been a second.
Yeah.
No one brews them.
Right. No one brews them. It's amazing. And any of these styles, like a lot of these, we're gonna have we'll have a fun once we open the tap room. We'll have a fun menu, and obviously 90% of the fun is going to be in the tap room, right? You know, we're not brewing a 30-barrel batch to send out into distro. Not happening, right? You know, like even like mushroom beers or whatever, 2-3 barrels at a clip. You know, we'll drink half of it, and we'll see how it goes in the tap room.
Yeah.
But anything takes off, we'll graduate it. You know,
Yeah.
that's it. We'll see where it goes.
You said March next year, right?
March taproom should be, fingers crossed. We want to open St. Patrick's Day weekend, but it's going to be around there. So if we're unable to open St. Patrick's Day weekend, it could be the week after or 2 weeks after. Somewhere late March, early April, we'll be opening.
Got it.
So we've been contract brewing for about a year and a half now, a little less than a year and a half.
Yeah.
But we're building out the brewery, and there's a lot of paperwork, and there's a lot of licensing in the state. I don't know if you've been reading about what's been going on in New Jersey. So we're part and parcel of that. So, but yeah, we should be able to, like I said, fingers crossed, shooting for St. Patrick's Day next year isn't really outlandish. We should be able to be open by then. So if you're able to get out this way at all, anytime from then on, you know, we'll stay in contact too. And if I'm able to get, honestly, I am going to GABF. Like I said, I really want to get up to Salt Lake. Maybe a couple of days before or a couple of days after. I'm planning to be in Denver from Wednesday to Monday. So maybe I'll leave Monday and go to Salt Lake and then go to Denver, or maybe I'll leave Denver on Monday and go to Salt Lake for a couple of days.
Got it.
So either way, I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
So how's everything come out all right, Dave?
Tom Hanks got nothing on me, man.
We were taking bets on what it was.
You know what it was.
Of course I did.
Made a mistake this morning. Anyway, we'll get into that later.
All right.
But John, you definitely need to get to Salt Lake City.
We do. Yeah, I definitely.
It's got an amazing craft beer scene. It's got a good foodie scene too.
Yeah.
It's got a really good foodie scene, especially if you like tacos.
I love tacos.
Yeah. Tacos are really good. I mean, on the whole, definitely make it out. Hit me up if you guys do, or anyone actually listening as well. Like anyone in the brewing scene here, like reach out to them. Everyone's more than well. I mean, they're gonna bend over backwards just to like introduce themselves. So
this is, and I've said this many, many times, and I don't just say it on the podcast. I say it while I'm, talking to people out on the road, talking to people in anywhere, really. This is as big of an industry as this is. It's a very small, tight-knit family, really. It's and you're family with people you don't even know, and that's the amazing part of it. And you meet somebody in 5 minutes, you're old friends, and that's what it really boils down to. And I love every minute of it. It's an industry unlike any other industry out there. It's amazing.
What was really neat being in Salt Lake City as well. Everywhere we went, I mean, you go into like a coffee shop, you go into a restaurant. There's always, you got someone who just, they just don't want to be there. There's a job to them. Yeah. I didn't see that anywhere I was at in any brewery in Salt Lake City. Everyone seemed to just really love what they're doing, love being there. TF was one of the most welcoming places I've ever walked into.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was interested in how do you like the beer? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Oh yeah. Like TF is amazing. There's quite a few places. They're really good. TF is one of those that, I mean, that's where a lot of us brewers go to drink. Yeah. Salt Lake.
I can understand why. And the other thing for those who travel, Salt Lake City, especially if you're traveling out of New Jersey, it's not like that when it comes to when you get your check afterwards. No, they did not leave beers off. The beer is actually not as expensive out in Utah as you're going to get out here. Yeah, I want to say ridiculously cheap because cheap's not the right word for it. But the value you're getting for your dollar at the breweries in Utah,
good point,
is astonishing. Yeah. It really, really is. So much good beer out there.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. All right, Jay, any last words you want to throw out there for anybody for anything that you're doing, whether it's you personally with BJCP or SaltFire?
I mean, nothing really that I haven't already said. Like, make it out here. Utah beer scene is actually pretty great. We have a lot going on. Really wonderful people out here. You can look up any brewery on Instagram or Facebook, message us, and like people really are excited to have enthusiastic people come out and just want to hang out. So
vibrant and welcoming would be the two adjectives I'd use for that scene.
Yep.
Very nice. Love it.
It's really special. There's only one brewery we went to that we didn't, maybe because of their longevity, we didn't feel as welcome as most other places because it was so many locals in there that we felt a little out of place. So it may have just been our mindset because Fisher's been around a long time.
Got it. Yep.
Right. And they've
only been around. It's not as long as you think. They've
really
only been around for about probably 5 years or so.
Really? Their logo makes it look like they've been around since the 60s.
I know. Yeah.
That is such like an old school logo.
Maybe that was intentional. You know, so.
You definitely kind of figure out everywhere has its own little vibe. And so like Fisher has that like
really local people.
Local, hip, outdoorsy, very much like local watering hole. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you almost go in like, should I even be here? Let's have one. We'll move on down the road. Exactly. The beer was good, and I'm sure if we actually engaged with anybody there and just dropped our whole "we don't belong here," it probably would have been a whole different story. And because they're probably looking at us like, "Who are these people, and why aren't they talking to anybody? They must not be friendly." So it could have gone both ways. You never know. But seriously, the beer scene out there is really something else, and everyone has their preconceived notions of what it's like to drink in Utah. The Mormons aren't as stringent as everyone thinks they are, to a point. I
mean, they're super nice.
Yeah. Oh, oh my God. I work with someone who was a Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And he really talked up Utah when I was going out there and all the things about it. And even though he's no longer Mormon, even though Ray's Mormon, he's still like, hey, they're still wonderfully nice people. I just don't associate that way anymore.
Yeah.
So the key behind all this, if there's any story behind it, do not be afraid of Utah. Do not be afraid of it at all. It is a great drinking scene. It is a great eating scene. It is a great natural beauty scene.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah.
It's extremely beautiful.
Oh God, it's amazing. We did the Big Five down along the southern border. Right? We did the national parks. And I'll say one thing about the beer scene in Utah. Once you get below Provo, the beer quality kind of drops drastically.
Yeah, when we talk about beer scene, it's the valley. It's Salt Lake City.
Yeah, it's a little different.
And that's just you can go. I will actually use Minnesota very similarly. Your Twin Cities, similar kind of an idea. You have everything kind of right in one spot, and once you go outside of that, it gets very agricultural and everything. For Utah, as long as you're in the valley, you're fine. You have a great food scene, great beer scene. I don't know. It's a good spot to come hang out.
Fair enough.
Wonderful outdoor hikes. The mountains that go down south, and you have all of your national parks. Like, it's a good spot.
Loved the national park. The national parks when we were there.
There you go.
So this show brought to you by the Utah Board of Tourism.
There you go. Anyway, all right. On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. Jay, stick around. Don't sign off when we sign off. We'll talk to you when we sign off the show. We'll talk to you for a minute. We'll wrap the show for today.
We call that the post show.
That's the post
show. Yeah.
We want to thank everybody for watching. For those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room.
You're allowed to mock him during this, by the way.
If you can do that, yeah, you can have free. Have at it. Anyway, heckle, yeah. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend.
Speaking of,
we will not be having a show next week because next Tuesday is indeed the 4th of July. So we will be skipping a week.
We'll be searing meat over flame.
We will be searing meat over flame and
throwing beers down our throats.
Exactly. So you do as well, and we'll hear from you the next week to see how it went.
Just don't blow off any limbs.
No. Don't do that. Be safe. Be smart. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will see you in a couple weeks, folks. Take care. Cheers. Oh, by the way, thank you so much, Jay, for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
That's first and foremost. Appreciate you taking the time out tonight. It was a great show. Appreciated every minute that you spent with us today.
Of course.
So absolutely. So anyway, and we will talk to you. We will talk to everybody soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Right.
I have beer left. That's different.
I'm out.